has happened today is, and probably something which will have a slightly more medium-term implication, is that the PMO has approved, or rather the Prime Minister has approved relaxations in the land transfer policy for infrastructure projects. This would essentially, hopefully, remove any kind of delays in awarding concessions for infra projects as well. Let's talk about this with somebody who understands this very closely. Vinayak Chatterjee, your feedback joins us right now to give us his sense. Good having you, Mr. Chatterjee. Thanks so much for joining in. Much delayed, but much anticipated. Do the statements that have come out today from the PMO make you believe that finally we are seeing some bit of movement as far as infra projects go?
Yes, good afternoon, and yes, it is indeed heartening news. One, for a very global reason, that hopefully we are seeing the green shoots of the government shaking itself out of decision paralysis, lethargy, all the words that we had used earlier.
Right.
And it is a very relevant decision for the simple reason that if government wanted to transfer land even to its own department, for example, if the railways wanted to transfer land to Rail Land Development Authority, which is their own institution, the matter had to go to cabinet. If a port authority had to transfer land to the private sector for a PPP project to set up a container terminal or a freight station, it had to go up to cabinet. Now, the cabinet of a country has matters of far strategic import than, alienation or transfer of 20, 30 acres of land. But unfortunately, this was the case, and it was delaying infrastructure projects for as long as 6 months to a year, because it would go up to cabinet meetings and then get postponed or come back for a clarification, and all that kind of stuff was happening. So at one stroke, this new announcement removes the need for these transactions to be taken up to the cabinet level. Over to you.
Right. Vinayak, could you give us a sense of, the quantum or the value of the PPP projects that stand for clearance at this point in time, if you have some ballpark numbers there, and, how this announcement only helps in clearance of those projects?
See, it's very difficult to have ballpark figures for an announcement made 2 hours ago. But broadly, I think if you see the government entities that own land, substantive amounts of land, and who also have an intention and desire to use the land to shore up their own revenues as well as develop infra-type projects, it is really, at first level, it is railways and it is ports where it has the maximum impact. After that, it will have impact on places like power. For example, if various state governments have a land which are in the possession of the state government one way or the other, it could be irrigation department land or it could be waste land or whatever it is, it makes it far more easier for the government now to transfer its own rights on land to infrastructure projects where either implemented by PSUs or by the private sector. So it's certainly, to cut a long story short, we're all guessing, but it could certainly free up infrastructure projects anywhere, from about 50,000 crores to 100,000 crores, but I'm only guessing.
Yeah.
But the important point is that it probably, at an average, cuts the developmental cycle by 6 months, and I think that is important.
Okay, just one final word really, Mr. Chatterjee. Do you believe, does this also, would this also be applicable from the immediate onset for private PPP projects as well? PPP projects essentially, because what you said right now and what I'm reading essentially would lead to a freeing up of land transfer for government projects for sure. Would it be as speedy in the private projects as well?
No. It won't be for private projects. It will be the clarification by the PMO very clearly clarifies that those PPP projects which have cleared the PPEAC, which is the project clearing committee of the cabinet.
Okay.
If the project has cleared it, for example, if like Delhi Airport, if Delhi or a new airport, for example,
sure.
If a project has cleared the process of PPEAC, which is the Prime Minister's, Economic Affairs Committee clearance for that project, if the project is cleared in PPP mode, then the land transfer does not have to come back to cabinet again. So it is for these kind of cleared PPP projects that the process becomes easier.
Okay. Good having you for this quick update, Mr. Chatterjee. Thanks so much for taking the time out and giving us that update. People who fund the infra projects as well, or who track the space very closely, are also fairly upbeat about what's happened. It finally probably means that there is some bit of a move that is happening, and we've been talking about that with all that's happening with the presidential election, of course, and the new FM coming in, that things would have sped up. This probably is happening. Take a break on that note. Get a fundamental view on the other side. Of course, talk about a lot of stocks which are extremely active, some on the short side as well.